We are at Friday, folks. Oh my gosh. Well, shout out to all you guys. Hello to everyone who's spending either your Friday night or your Saturday morning here with me. It's good to see you. My name is Duck. I go by Nathan. Nathan's my real name. I go by Duck online. Welcome to Duck's Why. I hope you guys have a chance to kick back, enjoy the show a little bit. And yeah, just as you guys come filtering in, I'm excited. I've got a couple stories I want to talk to you guys about. Boy, you guys know how fast the world moves. People that are here for politics, philosophy, discussion, debate, trying to learn from one another, all that kind of stuff. You guys know how fast, everyone here knows how fast the world moves. And that's important because it's the chaos, right? It's sort of that the weird, in-betweeners sort of, this weird idea that, when we wake up tomorrow, there's going to be a new news story, and I still get to ask myself, what in the world has actually changed? What in the world has actually changed? What stayed the same? Where were we at yesterday and where are we at today, guys? And so I'm excited to go live. We have more news. I finally got around to watching Jared Kushner at Davos, at the Davos World Economic Forum. And so we have a big time world politics happening. We have some big time, what do you call it? Big time sort of updates out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And yeah, we're starting to see the tide turn. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that guy, kind of the third person narrator of my own life. The third person telling you what the world's like, but I can tell you a little bit what I know about what's going on. So feel free to drop a hi in chat, and hello, whoever just tuned into the stream. Thanks for the like. I appreciate you. Yeah, I'm going to set up a poll here. Do you support Donald Trump's plan for Gaza? And very simple, yes or no. We'll keep it simple tonight, everybody. All right, everybody, we have the poll out. Welcome to the show. I am pleased to entertain you. All right. Yeah, and so it's a big deal. It's a big deal. At the end of the October 7th war, which was one of the most significant events in the Middle East in the last decade. It was the most significant event of the Middle East in the last decade. Most people would say geopolitically perhaps more consequential than Syria and Assad. The reason being is Israel is a international sort of force to reckon with. No, but they are. People know Israel. People are always curious about what Israel's going to do. And the Palestinian conflict has, taken on both actual as well as sort of like poetic sort of importance in terms of understanding Arab politics, understanding how Islamic countries in the 21st century see themselves, as well as sort of sifting through what's the actual role of democracy and international governance. Yeah, I'm sorry, Matrix Architect 2001. I'm sorry for asking a stupid question in the poll. I don't mean to talk down to you. And it's also true that, over 2 years of war, I personally don't trust that all media outlets and all the stories that we heard about what's going on in Israel and Palestine, the United States' role in it, what the UN has said, what sort of the Eastern Eurasian bloc has said. I don't trust that a lot of people really provided that sort of top-down view and really contextualized it around what people historically think is possible. And so that's one of the things I'm trying to overcome is be able to take just the small things I know and, recommend people that are more educated than I am, as well as being able to talk through, possibly some of the issues and the conversations that we don't see every day. And so that's where we ended up landing. That's where we ended up landing as a community on, as a global community, or wherever you're from, wherever you're a citizen of, whatever, whatever God you worship. If you don't worship a God, also cool. Whatever flag you kneel to, whatever flag you salute to. If you don't do that either, that's also cool. Yeah, heck yeah. I like Matic Queer 190. I'm told, or Math Choir. I like that idea. Yeah, reading and writing, essaying, journaling. I have a Substack. If you guys want to read, my last blog is making an argument that Donald Trump has a moral compass as a president. It's less philosophy, a little more geopolitics. No, I'm not a Trumper, not a MAGA guy. I really dislike and disagree with almost everything Trump said, but I was trying to be somewhat impartial or objective when I was writing that one. But yeah. So Jared Kushner was at the World Economic Forum talking about Palestine. And the United States has set up this peace commission, which Trump seems to say will supersede the United Nations. And without really clarifying how and why the United States, or the United States and Russia, or the United States and whoever it is spearheading Palestinian reconstruction, as well as the role of the local Palestinian Authority, the Commission for their Reconstruction. At least we know kind of what we know on the outside, at least, is that there's going to be these outside sort of planning, funding mechanisms, planning mechanisms, and there's going to be some internal coordination. And we're not really sure sort of the short, long-term scope of the Trump administration's plans. Jared Kushner is an idiot. I can tell you in advance, Jared Kushner is an absolute idiot. He's a moron. He's incompetent. He has hubris, and he's spineless. Perhaps the worst part of this is that if you're thinking of the people involved who are either acting as a spokesperson or hands-on sort of chair for these types of things, what I saw of Jared Kushner was a person who has none of their own ideas, nor any commitment to the values necessary to actually help the Palestinian people. Help the Palestinian people in a way that makes sense to the Palestinian people, or like, it's even not racist to say, like, you have to go about this. If the United States is playing a major role in the sort of first phase of reconstruction and getting things on the right track, whatever that means, explain it to an Arab, right? Explain it in a way that someone who lives in the Arab Peninsula understands. Explain it in a way that made sense, that enabled the sort of Arab Spring in a way that sort of culminates across nothing too fancy, but a little bit of history, a little bit of religion, a little bit of culture, a little bit of some of the secular values that have been supported across, modern Arab history. It's let's see, we've got Math Choir. It's total fascist, and we're already disgusting socially, internationally. They're disgusting. I don't relate with humankind. They can come at my door and clean me up. And so Jared Kushner laid out this sort of 3-4 point plan. And in this address, once again, he did say that, the U.S. has a plan. And he seemed to sort of softly both place humanitarian goals alongside economic ones. And this sounds very beautiful. This sounds very good. He pulled up pictures of housing. He pulled up pictures of industry, and he pulled up pictures of shipping. And so we at least know from like a dollars and cents standpoint, Kushner and Donald Trump and this peace commission, or whatever they're peace brokers. They have this belief that you can take a complex functioning society and you can drop in these levers of industry. And so critics will already look at this economic modality and say, well, across the whole scope of the war, you do have, just like any other time, you have 5-10% of the population who gets into sort of very scrappy, maybe, ways to generate some money and food and stuff for themselves, some opportunistic stuff that isn't normally socially acceptable. But you also largely see that sort of thrust of, kind of Baptist democratic socialism. There's a lot of reports that people are helping each other out. You have these chaotic sort of places where people are getting shot at bread lines, which is made to be political rather than a practical challenge. Hey, Professor Oak, good to see you. And so people are kind of saying, well, you have to ask yourself a little bit, well, if Palestine and Gaza was conducting itself during the war in such a way, and you also can go just across the border and you go to Egypt and you see, well, look, these African Arabs in Egypt, their neighbors, truthfully had conducted a fairly peaceful revolution in the Arab Spring. And you can go further and go to Tunisia and say that, well, they basically have done the same. Libya as well. You can look at Syria and you can say, well, there were a large handful of people in Syria who avoided conflict altogether. And so you kind of have this wonder where it's like, well, if you're already positioning these large industries, and maybe this is something Palestine has wanted, but they've wanted it within a sort of paradigm of sovereignty and autonomy, what's changed? What's actually changed? If you're not just buying them the things that they asked for, no strings attached, it leads one to think that there's very deep ulterior motives. And this is what Jared Kushner's covering up. Whether he's lying or he's, as I've said, an idiot, he's inept. You hire the stupid guy, you hire the person who doesn't know better, and you just presume that this is going to be a person who's able to speak over the loudspeaker, make noises with their mouth, and again, show people the shiny, pretty wet things, and no one else wants to do anything else. Hey, what up, Shadow Band? Hey, what's up, Song Jones? How you doing? Good to see you. Trump should stay out of Gaza. AMX Dreamcast 6186. Cool. Yeah, I like that. It's to the point. This is one of the cases. I'm usually very opposed to making like a single statement and saying that, this is how we should handle politics is, black and white, cut and dry, binary. It's a 1 or a 0. Trump, stay out of Gaza. Leave the Palestinian people alone, right? You already bombed out Yahya Sinwar in this drone video. You published you assassinating him. Boy, those Israelis, they loved assassinating people. They got pretty good at it. You guys love assassinating people, don't you? Right? I saw that. I do know that. But usually there is geopolitical complexity. There's always bad actors. There's always bad intentions. And there's always a bit of a mess where what people would think is possible or reasonable is up for dispute. And this naturally, you guys can picture in any society, this causes some normal distress. But in this case, I do think Trump should stay out of Gaza. I don't believe that we should have a politically aligned body of the United States conducting this first phase. And there's truly not enough there. There's not enough there. I'm trying to explain this tonight, right? There's not enough there to justify a political presence by the United States in this first phase. This entire first phase and first plan is very, very dumb and stupid. It's very dumb and stupid. And I want everyone to see this. And so this is, and then the 2 parts of the plan, the 3 parts, there's 3 main parts in Jared Kushner's mind, in Trump's mind. And so this is what's actually going on at the White House. This is what's going on at the US Capitol, which people should sort of take note of and consider. This is how dumb things have gotten. So the second part is Jared Kushner takes out this map at the World Economic Forum and he says, well, if we look at Palestine, we're gonna cut this place up and we're gonna zone it. We're gonna put zones in Palestine. I love this stuff. And so Jared Kushner and his infinite wisdom, where you have this society that has historically said we're culturally very strong. We're culturally very strong, and if you want proof of this, don't judge Palestine by the intifada's. Don't judge Palestine by the acts of October 7th. But judge Palestine by the extended periods of peace, by the presence of the national authority, by the ability to peacefully resolve disputes with Israel in the past while not succumbing to their pressures. And look at other Arab societies and Muslim societies who have said, well, look, into the future we will be more secular, and at the same time, unlike places like Lebanon, while we will be more secular, it's also true that our culture is what carries us through. And so it's just very silly to think of, why from a security standpoint, you're already zoning, you're doing alien zoning, like it's some movie called Palestine X67, 3 exponent, $sign or something. Oh, and so this is perhaps one of the larger problems, is that, generally you keep these zoning maps. Like the normal way you do it is if you have zones, these are security tools, right? So you don't tell people like, well, your society is broken up into zones, and there's some reason this is. Like, what is the actual purpose of this? What's wrong with what we're doing? And you should tell Trump and Jared Kushner, well, you're already politicizing this. You're not asking for feedback. You're telling people what you're going to do in Gaza. And so you're making an appeal to your authority and your power. And you're in your power. You're not actually in any way apparently taking anything out of what the world is like. What the world is like in 2026, in the year 2026. What the world is actually like. And so yeah, so you buy things. You show people pictures. You assume people are dumb enough to buy it. And then the second thing is, you flop your man parts on the table, very idiocy, and say, well, we're going to zone this area of land that has historically been unified, and which is perfectly fine being unified as a sovereign state in Libya, Egypt, Tunisia, Syria, and many other places. You can even look at Iraq under the Taliban for some things. People that actually care about those area studies and stuff like that would say, well, a lot of these places do some good stuff. They're not all like these freaking Hezbollah psychopaths, freaking nut jobs. And Hezbollah are nut jobs. And so this is reason 2 to reject the plan. If reason 1 is that you're buying people things and you're basically trying to buy a very expensive political problem off, which nobody believes. Everyone will say this is stupid. Everyone will want to try and check this or have to counterbalance this. And so you're not actually accomplishing anything for Palestinians because it's your idea. You're also not actually accomplishing anything that is in the United States' interests in the first place, or things that are in the US interest because they're generally peaceable or something like that. And then reason 2 is, again, the securitization up front, apparently dividing Israel, apparently saying that Hamas will be like illegal into the future, not just disarmed. All of these ideas, instead of simply sharing that, well, the Lebanese case study is eventually Hamas is not going to produce a winning political ideology. Most Palestinians believe this. And saying, well, as long as we have healthy food now, we have good schools that are coming in, perhaps rapidly, we have healthcare, injuries and damages from the war, people are able to get healthcare more easily, and there's some understandability or measurability around that. Individuals have the opportunity to pursue that. This is a complete alternative to saying, well, we need to zone Palestine. You have to be very uneducated. You have to be very ignorant to believe that you have to zone Palestine. It's a very stupid idea. It's like one of these ideas that is straight out of, like, it sounds more like Tom Clancy is writing a novel or something. It's really bad. And apparently Trump is bidding away spots for participation to whoever wants to. So you see the United States introduce a whole bucket of bad planning in their problems, maybe to punish Palestine or something like this. And then you see Trump auctioning these things off. You see him going around the world and parading this around as an alternative to the UN or something that powerful men and world leaders can go do. Whatever the strategic reason for it is, they think they're going to learn something from it. And these idiots are all the same. They're all the same, and they're the same all the time, is they always do dumb things like President Trump and say they're going to learn from it. And then what ends up happening is things get worse, right? And because welcome to the actual world, welcome to how the world works, is that if you are an idiot, if you're a moron and you do something dumb, your life doesn't get better, it gets worse. And so if you're a leader and you're a moron and you do something dumb, your life also gets worse, right? This is very common sense. Very common sense. Hey, what's up, Stuart? Donald Trump is always right. I'm going to go to the comments, guys. Trump is acting like a megalomaniac. Yep. Hey, FU8296. Good to see you. Hi to you as well. Can actually see the people safeguarded. Hey, Locriai. Good to see you as well. Yeah, and so a lot of people do, but a lot of kind of the standard default answer is that the UN peacekeeping forces are typically who conduct operations like this. They were operating during the war in Lebanon, and there's some impartiality. There's been success in other UN peacekeeping missions in Africa, in countries like Rwanda, in countries like Sudan in the past. And you generally, and this is the funny part, is you do take like a customer service poll after the UN leaves, and you do political polling. You ask, well, did the UN do a good job? And most people actually say yes. Most people say yes. The perhaps the most politicized, revolutionary, violent forces in our country were stopped. We stopped all that. And when people tell you that, you say, well, good job, UN. You guys drove the Humvees. You wore the nice little like sky blue hat, and you guys basically, you had that opportunity to make everyone happy, and that's exactly what you did. And congratulations on that one. And so while we're sort of considering what security is actually like, what security is needed, for what reasons, at what time intervals, and what the objectives are, again, Jared Kushner doesn't speak to this. He seems to think he has to keep like a sort of like tight lips or something. And this is, part of Donald Trump's tough guy persona, is he doesn't want to ever lose. He doesn't ever want to be perceived as a loser. Donald Trump doesn't ever want to be perceived as incorrect or wrong. And it's funny because in the cases where Donald Trump has a conversation that needs to be had or a point to be made, his opinions often aren't discussed. And if you're a president, this also means that you're inept. It is not a license to go do what you want. It's also perhaps, maybe more so, it's this idea that your worldview is just who you were as a dirty, disgusting 50-year-old man who had never accomplished anything worthwhile in your life. And so, when you elect basically a dirty old man to be president, and you say, yeah, Donald Trump has been politically active. He's been talking about politics since the 1990s, but he's said nothing novel. He said nothing interesting. Everything he said is like the scribble on a napkin that you would give to someone at a bar or in a bar bathroom. Everything Donald Trump had previously said prior to the presidency was this quality. And so now he arrives in office, and now he doesn't like the UN. He's smarter than Jeffrey Sachs. He's smarter than Amartya Sen or whatever all these people, whatever their names are and stuff like that. He's smarter than Tony Blair. He's got to be smarter than Tony Blair. You guys have heard of Tony Blair, haven't you? Yeah, George Bush's compatriot, whoever you guys wanted to talk about. Macron, right? Macron must have a trans wife. And so Donald Trump's got to be smarter than the guy with the trans wife, right? Donald Trump, you can see him riding, driving a Lamborghini at some point in his life. Just picture it. And he doesn't even do it. He's got to be smart. No, and so this is the sort of bag that Donald Trump came in on. And most people are thinking, F you and the horse you rode in on, Mr. President. You're a president and you're an inept one and you're not competent. And so how did we get to this part of the conversation? Security, right? Yeah, and so a lot of people should think that if Hamas is disarming and they're doing so willingly, you would look at that momentum. You would look at that momentum and say, well, is this buying space for any of the sort of polarized issues that are impacting the broadest swatches of society, or are things that people will need to discuss before the future is done. And maybe that's not directly right. It could be slightly inaccurate, but that would be a generalized approach, is instead of breaking people up into zones and being masked and mysterious about security, most people would see this and say, well, it looks like the United States is taking over Palestine. It looks like Israel is just taking over Palestine. And it's a sovereign territory. It's a sovereign territory belonging to the Palestinian people. So Donald Trump is very different from some other presidents. In the first place, Donald Trump is a fucking liar. Donald Trump is a fucking liar. He came out, he said that a lot of independent voters voted for Donald Trump not because of any of the bullshit that a lot of the young folks think you would vote for Trump for. The people that are sort of fascinated by video games and gaming and sort of believe that authority and his force and his presence, these were the things that made him compelling as a leader. And when you actually dug into the ideas, it made sense. It lined up with who he was. But in America, we actually have a lot of independent voters who are like, well, look, this guy he might end up kind of being an asshole. He might be ineffective, but he's a hippie, right? He's a hippie in some sense. He was so bad at being president in his first term. He didn't start wars. He didn't spend the government's money when he didn't have to. He's promised he's going to be a president of peace. He's going to end wars, end violence. And so you vote for this fucking liar, who ends up selling more guns than any other president in recent history. He ends up posturing before he's even in office, which is basically the threat of war, which is the same thing virtually as starting a war. He goes to war with Venezuela, threatens Colombia, he threatens Canada, he threatens Greenland, he threatens every single one of our European allies. And truthfully, under the table, while he may be working or collaborating with President Putin, the most intelligent sort of argument or assumption is he is drastically threatening Russia. He's threatening anyone who works with China. He believes he's doing something good, and he just isn't. He just isn't. And so this fucking idiot liar president is, basically still the guy who lied to 100% of the American people and is doing the exact opposite of what he said. So he is very different than other presidents. People believe George Bush would start wars. President Barack Obama voted against Iraq and Afghanistan. He voted against, all of the military campaigns war when he was in the Congress, and he also wasn't this sort of like Greenpeace pussy hippie, right? Barack Obama, well, he didn't position himself as a pacifist, and that's exactly what he did. Obama was someone who you may think it's beautiful. It is still fucking psychopathic and murderous is what that is. But he would tell the SEALs to get on a birdie, and then he would very happily watch the video, very happily read the documents afterwards. Barack Obama was a fucking psychopath, but that's also who he told the American people he was. He said we were going to end a war, but he didn't say anything about that the United States can't use violence in any situation. Trump said he's a president of peace, and he's been the most violent that we've seen ever. And so I disagree. I think that guy's a fucking liar. And he lied to you. He lied to your parents. He lied to people who are worried about their Social Security. He lied to people who care about their Social Security because not just it's how they eat and pay their rent, but also because it's how we invest in the future. If you can't sustain these federal level programs, either for yourself or for things like infrastructure, which are also for you, then the United States really has no platform to stand on. And who can say who's going to get elected in the future? Who can say what's going to happen? That isn't pearl clutching. That's just actually how democracies fail. That's how democracies get weaker. Who can say what's actually going to happen in the future? You fucking idiots. Donald John Trump is the most honest president by far. It's not even close. Hey, Angelo. Oh my God. If it was anyone other than Angelo, I'll tell you what. Let me read this one more time in my No, I'm glad Angelo's here. Everyone say what's up. But Donald John Trump is by far the most honest president by far. It's not even close. Shaking my head. Yeah, shaking my head for what reason? Is your car moving, Angelo? I hope your ear tubes and everything is okay. I hope that's all right to you. But yeah, Trump is too egotistical. Trump is too egotistical. Yeah, cool. Yeah, however you read into it is cool. I agree. I don't know about Trump's ego. I believe Donald Trump gets frustrated with making decisions, and so he makes a decision. Yeah, I don't know what that would be like, but I agree, bro. I voted for Trump and Reagan. Obama and Bush still have bigger. Jay McBrownie, but people would have said at the start of Bush's presidency he could possibly kill no one during his presidency. And it turned out he didn't do that. He did the opposite. His decisions resulted in the deaths of millions of Iraqis, 30 years of war, billions of gallons of oil, again, a million deaths, and then totally just resulted in absolutely nothing. My hate is coming out. You're gonna have to explain that one to me otherwise. Yeah, so that's not what we're talking about hatred. Do I hate Donald Trump? No, I don't hate Donald Trump. He's a fucking liar. What did I say? I said Donald Trump is a fucking liar. I said he's fucking incompetent, and I said he has no special privilege because he's a president. He's a fucking idiot. Yeah, you're here every day. I don't know what else I would say. Obama is responsible for Benghazi. Mark Travis, what was Benghazi? That's Libya? Is that Libya or where is that? Yeah, and so, when we look at security needs, we sort of talked about this at the beginning of the stream. I don't think a lot of people see the need or the reason for for U.S. forces to be stationed in Palestine, why that would be the case. I don't think a lot of people see the need if Hamas disarms to rush or put out front this decision to build Palestinian forces or to agree to extended UN peacekeeping operations, which would exclude perhaps Israel from participating in security in the vast majority of the greater Palestine territories. It's somewhere by some river. What is it? The Euphrates or something else? I don't know. Some river and some sea, from what I hear. Yeah. And so for Palestine and Israel, when we're talking about Gaza and Palestine, the main thing that Donald Trump and Jared Kushner did not speak for was that on October 7th, what should have been said on October 8th is this is a drastic urban combat scenario. And if Israel has the autonomy and as a sovereign state will choose to go after those responsible for October 7th, this is going to be a long drawn out war with an incredibly high death count. And it turned out that the death count mirrored that of operations in Iraq and Afghanistan. While in Iraq and Afghanistan, we got videos of U.S. Apache helicopters gunning down people on the ground, blowing up vehicles, in some cases shooting civilians. And we also saw the dramatic aerial campaigns that took place over Baghdad and other cities. We saw the effects of a vastly superior air force that the U.S. had, air control, air superiority, basically a totally unarmed sort of guerrilla force in the insurgency. In Israel, we saw bombs being dropped from the sky. We saw daily and weekly videos of Israeli troops parading through these incredibly dangerous situations in the streets. And there was never an adequate conversation on October 8th of what sort of observers or UN sort of presence we would need. What sort of unbiased observers would push people to the negotiation table faster. There was no talk about this in the media, and there seemed to be no care about this either. It seemed that there was a bloodlust and a certain sort of totalitarian mindset that violence was going to solve this conflict. Hey, old Swami. Hi. There's not an end to the US-UK relationship. UK and the US both have the same identitarian problems, which are also opportunities. Both states can see themselves really falling back on capabilities developed during the Cold War. The fact that they are advanced service economies, and the fact that they have advanced military equipment in no way secures their position toward the future. The fact that they have some of the top universities in the world in no way implies that they'll be able to compete across every sector. Education is important, nor that they'll be able to play a role in geopolitics that ensures that they're respected as actors in the world into the future. And so I don't know what you're talking about, Scott. I think it's a gotcha question, and I don't understand it. Bush sent us, but it is cool. It's a cool question, right? I like the UK. I like fish and chips. I'm a vegan now, but I used to love fish and chips. I used to love like the different like malt ales and stuff that came out of the UK. They had a couple beer companies that shipped out here. So Bush sent us to Iraq. Hey, Mark Travis. Yeah. I was at Catholic school at the time, and I was kind of shocked and appalled. I remember still, I thought it was a moral failing that so many Christians and Catholics in our country voted to go to war. They voted to go kill these people that we knew nothing about. And while I think there are competitive justifications or arguments to be made as to why the US took this action and whether or not it's in line with actions that states and leaders of states take and plan for, it's reprehensible that in a democracy that was the thing that took precedent or preempted all other decisions. It's absolutely shameful. It's still a sin. It's a moral wrong. It's many moral wrongs packaged into a single phone call, a single speech. My God, man. You can't imagine the level of death, waste, destruction, lost potential, lost hope. You can't imagine the depth of despair that George Bush sent us into because he's got this tiny little Texas dick, this little piece of shit, this psychopath. He ran for office knowing he was a psycho fuck. That should upset you guys. And I'm sorry, pardon my French, pardon my language, but it's the same politician saying the same thing, And Donald Trump is such a spineless shill that, he gets to office and what does he do? He's got no ballsack. He says, this Bush guy, this Reagan guy, they did some of the things I like, and people seem to think they were popular, and they got all the phone calls they wanted, all the girlies wanted to talk to them, and the Don wants some of this, and this spineless hack just copies these guys. What a snake, what a little reptile, what a subhuman creature that tells you, I'm going to spend the next 4 years of my life leading you. I'm going to spend the next 4 years of my life ensuring that my people and our philosophy and our ideas and the things that we actually operationalize and execute in the world very simply are the things that the future will look back on fondly. They'll look back on and can learn from. And Donald Trump does the opposite. He says we can put even more psychopaths in office. I can take the crazy kid that smelled bad in high school and was a Randian. He liked Ayn Rand. He was a philosopher, and I'm going to put him in charge. I'm just going to put him in charge at the White House. Donald Trump doesn't understand this stuff. He wouldn't be this way if he did. He's an absolute moron. He's a complete idiot. Complete idiot. What do you think? Does that sound good? If we just vote in a gay, black, lesbian commie, that should fix everything, right? Yeah, if you guys do like gay, black, lesbian commies, per Jay McBrownie's comment just a little bit up in chat, I did just post a video on Che Guevara, if you want to see. I have this nice Che book here. So Che, infamous Argentinian doctor. So he was from Argentina. He had a medical degree. So Che Guevara was genius. And then he ended up being one of the most inept. He was someone who did not a single thing of consequence in his life and ended up becoming a complete psychopath who killed thousands of people outside of the court of law. So he was an idiot who took power and used that power to murder people. And he was a smart idiot. He was a doctor. He was friends with this Fidel Castro guy. Fidel Castro, if you don't know who he is this very charismatic, 6'3", tall, strapping guy. Seems to take on a lot of gravitas when he spoke. Seemed to truly care about a lot of things. And for all of their possibly well wishes, it turned out that Castro and Che Guevara were, in most estimations, they did enough wrong things that they shouldn't have been within 100 feet of politics. And Che ended up getting assassinated by the CIA in Africa. I'm Jack Talcott. Is Jack one of your disciples? I don't believe Hey, GT, good to see you. Yeah, I like Jack Talcott. I mod on Jack Talcott's channel. I love, I think Jack's a nice person. He's a wise person. He's one of the few people in the panelverse that shares sort of his old person wisdom. And for me, seeing Jack Talcott travel to Washington, D.C., go on the Don Lemon show, seeing Jack, really try to push his Veterans for Peace agenda and ultimately try to get in front of President Trump to speak truth, to only say something truthful, only to be heard. I think Jack Talcott is one of the few people that does that. And so I love supporting Jack. I think he's honest. I think he's authentic. And that's all I can say. I think he's authentic. I believe the guy. So are Bill and Hillary psychopaths? I'm sure people have evidences of, as Secretary of State, I believe Hillary was trying to peacefully navigated a pretty tumultuous period that was a result of Bush's engagements in the Middle East, which truly came at a time where a lot of regions in the world were saying we don't need to work directly, we don't need to work out of Europe, we don't need to work around the Western Bloc. And we are waiting. We are expecting at some point in time the sort of Sino-Russian, economies and politics and things. All of these things were going to be coming around, in 2005, 2006, whenever it was. And so I think Hillary handled that well. That's my honest opinion. I think I don't agree with Bill's NAFTA. Perhaps it was an important sort of sign of the times or something like this. Maybe it was something we needed to learn. But to say that it's ambitious, and this is funny. I worked with an industrial engineer from Sinaloa. He and I both worked at the same company. We worked at a technology company, and he was from Mexico, and he got an industrial engineering degree. That's a lot of Bill Clinton's NAFTA, so this one person I knew, really nice guy, funny guy, super smart. He and I got to work together. I really liked him, and Bill's NAFTA got that one through. I probably should brush up on the Bill presidency, but it still sounds odd to me. If I was leading you, if I was the president, and I wouldn't be a very good one, but I would say, it's not that ambitious to say that Jack Welch moves factories to northern Mexico. We know he can. We know that they've got semi trucks. They've got everything down there. We know they can. But is this actually what ambitious means? Is this ambition as only Americans understand? And so deep criticism of the Clintons, of Biden in Congress, of Obama as well, right? If we're looking at both sides of the issue, we can say there's still a lot of nationalism, perhaps a lot of coded capitalism speak. Not all of it was pragmatic. Some of it was maybe convenient or what we knew. And so we should be hypercritical of all those things. There's no such thing as what you knew. It's whatever the fuck you actually decided to do. Because guess what? I know when my alarm clock goes off. I know what I'm doing when I get up in the morning. And if you tell me you're going to be my president, you sure as fuck better be doing the same thing. You shouldn't be wasting a single fucking second in that office. And Donald Trump he's the, you better hope Donald Trump wastes time. Go to the golf course, Mr. President. Take the day off respectfully. You're a president to me right now. This piece of shit. He fucking lied to everyone. What a fucking shill. What a fucking sham. Do you know how many people he killed in Venezuela? Do you know how many people he fucking bombed in Yemen? Fuck you. Fuck this guy, right? Is that funny? That's not funny to anyone. Anyways, we'll just speak truthfully about that. That's called right to speak if you're a Buddhist. That's not hatred. Y'all confused. Shay's the only communist I respect. I mean, come on. No. I really enjoyed, I don't remember it. I remember reading Russian Jewish Zionist literature. That was kind of a fun read. It was a little poetic, a little religious, kind of religious in the sort of sense it can be. And so I do have respect for many communist thinkers. I'm not myself a communist, but I'm a capitalist. I'm always going to be a capitalist. So he was a doctor who liked to blow off kids' heads. Yeah. Oh, Jay McBrownie, man, that's a really brutal one. Thanks to Marxism. Yeah. Shay became a Marxist. So Shay was sort of interesting. He did believe that capitalism caused all kinds of mental and physical sicknesses. This maybe is actually correct, to some extent, if you live in a modern society and this is where it's not being logical or rational. It's kind of being measured, discerning, asking if what you're saying makes sense in the world. And at the same time, realizing that you're not talking about politics in this case. But he saw post-colonial governments. He saw nascent democracies and dictators who were sponsored by the West, and he saw all kinds of stuff. He saw sick industrial societies, and Che Guevara said, "Well, it must be the case. Capitalism and liberal democracies are a cancer. They make people sick, and it isn't just the case. And violence is justified," is where he took it. So he decided on deciding or something. I don't know, whatever. Maybe someone here is a Shea scholar, but I don't know how much depth he actually had for being a brilliant medical doctor and all this other stuff. Bonjour de France. Hey, Dorian Tranier, good to see you. Sorry if my French isn't good today or on any day, but it's hopefully good to see you. Yeah, and I hope you're well. Capitalism requires freedom, though. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it requires a little bit of freedom, right? It requires information, at least. Yeah. And so good point. If you're Palestine and Gaza and you're like, fuck this Jared Kushner guy and this Trump guy, a lot of people might say, well, capitalism, what freedom actually gets you is the ability to sort of culturally be yourself, whoever that is. And you're going to trust that someone can figure it out if you can do that for long enough. Yeah. And so who's able to actually argue with it? Someone is, but whatever. Hey, sorry, Scott, I was judging you earlier. My bad, everybody. Yeah, I've got all my money links in the chat. Don't feel obligated. Yeah, I don't know why I mentioned those. I don't know. I just felt impulsive to sign those up, but I know there's a lot of creators who hate streaming, don't have any money. They feel like they have to spend all their time online like it's a job or whatever. I love spending time with you guys. I love going live. And that has nothing to do with having donation links, but there are other streamers that need some support. So hopefully you guys learned something. Do check out that Shay video. It talks about actual good geopolitics stuff. I'm not the most learned or educated person, but I know one or two things. So do check out that video, please. It's the most recent video on my page. Subscribe, like the stream if you want. That stuff does help me quite a bit. I'm going to go ahead and check on this poll, and we've got 60%, 59% of the audience. And so we've had about 75 people come through and share their opinion with us. 59% do not support Donald Trump. 41% do support Donald Trump. And we're going to take this back. We're going to take this back to the conversation we had the other day. That when we look at things like Trump's plan in Gaza, him basically setting up a peace brokerage firm, thinking you can barter, buy, sell, trade peace or political outcomes, when that's truly not what that is or not how you do it. It would be like saying, well, can you buy your way into the NBA? Not really, not really. You know, you've got LeBron James goes to St. Mary's. A lot of the great athletes coming to the NBA went to prep academies and, you know, had really great, you know, NBA caliber coaches in high school or maybe a year or two of college. But by and large, you don't buy your way into the NBA. There's lots of prep academies that don't produce NBA athletes, right? You know, not all of none of LeBron James's other teammates from St. Mary's are in the NBA. I think there's one other St. Mary's guy who was decently successful, but I forgot who it was. Maybe not. And so Trump's peace brokerage firm, you know, it's radical Christians and who's supporting Trump's policies with no basis, no justification. It's radical far-right Christian voters who believe in this Christian nationalism idea. It's a load of hogwash. It's a load of bullshit. And it's libertarians. It's people like Dave Smith. It's people like Tim Pool who threw a hissy fit when they didn't get what they wanted, when they didn't get this anarcho-capitalist society where you're going to have to go outside with a hunting rifle to get a job. And these guys, and they show you exactly what's wrong. I talk about this in the Shea video I just posted. You know, prior to the revolution, these libertarians will tell you they're dead center. They'll tell you they're just right-leaning on some things. And they are totally liberal on social issues. Keep the government small. Keep them away from us. But just watch how they act. Watch how they act. Watch what they actually do. Before the revolution, these are the most woke lefties you can ever see in your life. They make stuff up as they go along. They cry about it. It's all their feelings. It's these loose philosophical justifications. And it is people like Dave Smith, Tim Pool. It's these crybabies like Rand Paul. His dad should be ashamed of him and what he's done. The choices he made, there's no justification for that. Ron Paul should be ashamed of you, Rand Paul. And watch after the revolution, after they win their election, now they're all woke righties. Now they're all woke righties. They will do anything. They will lie, cheat, and steal. And so if you want to know what's wrong with any revolutionary mindset, what's wrong with Make America Great Again, you don't have to go that far. Go over to the Timcast. Check out this asshole, this spineless hack. Go check him out. Go check out Tim Pool. Go check out his little, you know, GED educated co-hosts who think that they should be talking to 50,000 people at a time about fucking what? About their ChatGPT search? And so prior to the revolution, they're as woke and left as you can get. They are more than happy to spend every day and afternoon with Joe Rogan or whoever it is, and they tell their audience, oh, whatever you feel is always right, and I'm not going to share my own opinions. I don't actually give a fuck what you think. And they will do this day in and day out. And then after the revolution, they get Trump into office. And then what happens? What happens after this? Now they're all woke righties. Now they justify police shooting a woman in the side of the fucking head in her car. Our vice president, JD Vance, said this is a tragedy, but this isn't the type of tragedy that we investigate. Investigation has to respect the privacy of the ICE officers. What kind of fucking tragedy doesn't have an investigation, Mr. Vice President? This is how far right these lunatics have gone. And so you don't actually have a libertarian position. You don't actually have Jared Kushner's Palestine and Gaza plan working and lining up in reality. How about that? Because what happens as soon as your economic buddies take power, it's all about money. It's all about elections. It's all about who has the most guns and keeping those guns out of other people's hands. You call that peace. I call that authoritarianism. That's autocracy. And so Donald Trump's plan with Jared Kushner and whatever buddies he loops in from around the world it's murderous. And if you guys have seen this, I want you to visualize it. We've got the 10 of us here that are going to be able to talk about this. Have you guys seen the contraption they used to test the first nuclear bombs? Was it in New Mexico or Las Vegas or something? It was either Nevada or New Mexico, somewhere around there. But they basically took this thing that looked like a giant steel cherry. It looked like a big submarine. and they put it in this like popsicle stick cage. And this is what Donald Trump wants the Palestinian and Gazan people and American people to believe is going to work for that country, for that sovereign territory, for a sovereign people. He wants you to believe that if you hang up high enough and put enough sort of sequins on it, if you bedazzle your vagina, what you actually get out of this is a plan for the Gazan and Palestinian people. And it's completely fallacious. There's nothing useful in this idea that you can set up industry. Why? Because if you are investing money, you can always set up industry. You can always build an oil refinery. You can always build a financial model and figure out how much cash you need in and how fast you need to start selling it at what price to keep that refinery running. It's a machine. It's mechanistic. You can always go hire private security. You can always go outside of the UN for security, but you can't undo having either US or some other sort of security agreements in place. You can't undo buying arms from private arms manufacturers. All of these things people should be concerned about. And this is completely thin. It's completely thin. You build from a foundation and you're ambitious in the right ways. And you keep that space clean. The one thing Trump's plan does get right is that it's never clear if you prioritize security or institutions. However, the highly educated and not the uneducated, like Donald Trump and Jared Kushner, would tell you that, well, it's not completely ambiguous. It's not amorphous. It's usually clear when you need more security and to what extent that securitization ought to be actually funded, discussed, operationalized, to whom it reports, from where it comes, where it goes in the future for transparency and oversight. And everyone knows the US doesn't want to look bad. The US doesn't want to do these things. And so many people, many outside observers would say that, well, when there isn't one clear solution because of ideology, it is also very clear that the most competent, objective actors who are able to produce and facilitate non-political solutions ought to be involved. This isn't just a great starting point, it's a great ending point. And so while Trump's Peace Commission may aim for something like this, it is totally politicized and it's totally narcissistic, egotistical, uninformed. And it looks like it was based on some fucking idiot, some fucking moron that, gave Donald Trump a hand job under the table. And this fucking dipshit ate it up hook, line, and sinker. What a fucking moron. What a fucking idiot. This guy's a fucking liar. I'll tell you what, any man who's able to stand around and watch 5-year-old kids get arrested while you're president of the United States and say nothing. You don't even have the balls to show up. You don't have the balls to apologize for it. You don't have the balls to explain yourself. What a piece of shit. And this is the problem, is everyone who had so much fun campaigning for MAGA, everyone who had so much fun campaigning for MAGA in this election, and now that Donald Trump's president, what's fun about this? What's fun about this? You guys elected a spineless comedian for president. You elected some guy who should be fucking flipping whoppers. If his daddy didn't have so much goddamn fucking money, Donald Trump would be working at a fucking fast food joint his entire fucking life because he's a selfish fucking prick. You know what? And this president that we have, that lied to your face, that is too irresponsible and inept to do anything, you don't owe him anything. You know what? He is your president because he's the president of the United States, but he is a president. And when he's out of office, so long, sayonara, motherfucker. I'll be fucking glad the day you're out of that place. And I'll make sure that you get to keep fucking nothing from what you've done here. You should be ashamed of your fucking self. You sound emotional. What up, JD Tux? Good to see you, brother. Do you want to get emotional with me? Now, so how do you tell me, you see a soccer mom getting shot in the side of the fucking head. You see a pistol go up to Renee Good's face and an ICE agent, a human being, pulls the trigger. Okay? And you listen, JD Tux, you listen to a vice president who says it's a tragedy, but it's not the type of tragedy we investigate. Is that a talking point? Do you know something? I'll tell you what, this is what I posted in my shorts. You guys can subscribe to me if you guys want, but I know something that if you commit a crime, we have an investigation and a trial. And guess what? In the United States, it's always a crime to shoot someone. I don't care if you're in your own home, if it's self-defense. You got to get an independent investigation, get in front of a judge. We'll talk about it. An ICE officer, a human being, shot Renee Good. I saw that vehicle continue on the path of travel. I saw her obeying what appeared to be some lawful order at some point in that conversation that she obeyed at the wrong time. And she got shot in the face for it. And so I'm not the person that decides what happens, but that's a crime. That's a crime in the United States to shoot a soccer mom in the side of the head because she parked her car the wrong way and because she was smiling at you. Hell no, that's a crime. And so I'm not saying this guy needs to go to jail or needs to go to jail for life, but if you're so confident in your position, JD Vance, why the hell are you such a fucking pussy bitch? Why is it the case that you couldn't man up and say that, look, local Minneapolis PD or Pam Bondi and the DOJ, they need to tear the doors open on this. You know what? Go be measured, but get this in front of the judge. Let's see what he has to say. Get in front of somebody, just get it in front of the fucking judge circuit, but make sure we have an independent investigation. Make sure that ICE has the right sort of faculties in check. Make sure that there's nothing that's going to get in the way of just the truth of what happened. JD Vance can't say a goddamn thing. He got dragged a month before. He wasn't going to make that mistake twice. I don't care. That's a lie. That's a lie then. He doesn't believe he shot somebody. He doesn't believe he murdered someone. If you murdered someone, man up and admit it. God forgives you. Your language doesn't forgive you. If you fucking shot someone, say it. Why does you guys act like you're president? Hey, Donizy, are you from New Brunswick? I know some people, I'm growing up. I'm trying to. Stop your lying. She was obstructing all day. He didn't say that because it doesn't need to happen. Good for JD Vance. Hey, Chris Molina, I don't understand your logic or your argument. You don't want to talk about somebody shooting someone when it happens in your society. That's shameful. God's got to forgive you for that too. Just like God's got to forgive this officer. Hate to break it to you, brother. God's got to forgive the investigators. God's got to forgive everyone that knows about this in ICE and didn't say a goddamn thing because they like their paycheck. Hail to the almighty dollar, right? Hail to the almighty HBO subscription. God bless Google. God bless McDonald's. God bless my lunch. These heroes sign up for $50K. These heroes sign up and take the solemn oath of law enforcement. Now, not a single goddamn one will admit when someone got murdered and shot and you got to investigate it. I didn't say anything else. You can't handle that. Man the fuck up. Get a different job. Go sell fucking Beanie Babies. Go sell Build-A-Bear. Get a job at the shopping mall, you fucking, whatever. Fucking bitch. These guys they're fucking clowns. He had a second to react, and he shot her in the face. He had a second to react, and he shot her in the face. Gaza hates the LGBTQ. Yeah, absolutely. That's a more important conversation. Again, Jared Kushner shows these colorful pictures of zones that no one needs to discuss ever, anywhere. He shows these pictures of oil refineries, which everyone already knows what they are. Of boats, everyone already knows what those are. And so nobody needs to discuss those things. So if you believe that Gaza hates the LGBTQIA plus community, you should also oppose Donald Trump's peace commission. You should oppose the majority of the plan. You should oppose the core thrust as Donald Trump has taken it to mean himself all by himself. Canada is a sovereign state. They're a sovereign territory. They have their own indigenous tribes. They have a large French population. So Canada is no. So the answer to that is no. Canada is not the 51st state. Gaza hates inclusivity and equality. I don't think that's true. That's opposed to sort of mainstream Ba'athist philosophy. And so I think there would be a high barrier for you to substantiate that. I don't think anyone doubts that Hamas and the various militia groups are either religious or political revolutionaries, which makes them murderers and extremists, right? If you're a revolutionary, you're a murderer. That's what that means. And yeah, that's probably what you're going to go do. Just been around, seen it. The US has done it. We know it. So Gaza hates inclusivity and equality. Yeah, and again, I think when you look at Gaza operating as an effective bureaucratic state for a while without really having strong consolidated democratic mechanisms. In fact, Hamas says, was it 2012 or 2014? Somewhere in that period, Hamas basically overthrowing another Islamist group in an election shows that Gaza actually hates democracy, or people hated democracy in Palestine and Gaza. So I think you are talking down to people right now. And so you might have something you need to say if you need to work it out in your head. Transmutation. Go ahead, work that out. I'm here for you as well. So feel free to, again, leave comments like this, folks. I can talk through it with you. And yeah, you have something important to say, something to think about. Either one is okay, right? No one's here to judge you. ICE are pussies who can't show their face. Hey, Jax. Yep. Yeah, when you have law enforcement officials all over the country calling them out, ranging from fake Leos to having sheriffs saying, yeah, we have to arrest these Leos if they break the law, reminding people that's the case. This isn't political signaling. This is also reality. This is the nature of law. This is what law enforcement officers do. And so you have sheriffs telling their own police officers that, well, what do? You're not a Spartan, but you do enforce the law of the land in the United States. And so if the law of the land is your law, you support the state constitution. You probably know something about federal law, how that works. I'm not a law enforcement officer. I don't need to know that. But if your sheriff is telling you because of ICE, you better brush up on the law, that's a failing federal administration. That's a failing federal agency. We should not listen to a cunt like this man. Hey, Alan Harum, 5081. I don't understand what you mean by that. I know I'm not that likable all the time, but if there's something specific other than just an order or a direction, but I'll put this message through. If you guys want, I think my auto moderator is probably going to time you out for 1 second, but you're back, Alan. Yeah, so Alan says we shouldn't listen to a cunt like this man. I'm sorry to everyone in chat if I've appeared as I am inappropriate. I have said some bad words. If there's something else that I can do for you, please let me know. If there's something I can work on, that's up to you. But please also don't order chat around. I will ban your account next time you say something like that. Thank you. Yeah, you can work on what you want to say, but until you have my trust, you don't get to order anyone around here. Let me ask, what were those churchgoers guilty of? What were those So you're saying their rights are violated? Yeah, William Barry, thank you. Good to see you again, William. Thanks for asking. Again, I would recommend looking at both. There's always laws that protect people on both sides of the law. So there are people that protect those churchgoers. There's also laws that protect freedom of assembly and freedom of speech. Saying that we have a FACE Act is in no way a clear case where the law necessarily prior to any judge or appeals courts hearing this case, or perhaps even the Supreme Court, or just normal, whatever the process is, truthfully, in no way says that the protesters or Don Lemon need to go to jail. So very clear answer to that one. Hey, what's up, Cameron Flynn? The people of Palestine don't hate democracy. It's just a prone to failure under occupation. Hey, good to see you. Happy to see you here. I brought up earlier the examples of Tunisia, Egypt, aspects of the Syrian revolution, lots of places. There's lots of places where it's been true that Muslim or Arab populations touting their culture, North African populations, many places saying that, well, we produce democracy, but basically the same in a different way, has been true. Libya, nothing. They were guilty of nothing. In America, you can't get arrested for what you post on the internet like you can and do get arrested in the UK. Man, that's a shame. Jesus would not deport migrants. Yeah, JS, I tend to adopt that view of Christianity as well. I believe the most possible form of Jesus is Jesus as a healer, a miracle worker, perhaps an outsider to society or someone who is forced to reconcile his own honesty with others. And I think a lot of this is our interpretation versus what divinity is meant as in the Bible. And so Jesus would not deport migrants. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think Jesus would see this as a priority. I think he would be very curious interpreting the kingdom of men, sort of choosing this as the issue that they decide. And later on, we see the church ultimately sort of saying with authoritarian rigor, well, yeah, this is true. And it's also true now that the church is here. So you guys have Christian morality. You guys also have our politics. And boy, it's sort of a black and white and a gray issue. Sure is complicated when you have tyrants and kings and murderers and genocidal maniacs leading your country, leading your state. And you're also forming these individual identities, perhaps for the first time. That turns out to be a long story. From my understanding, the U.S. is a corruption system. ICE is a branch from Home Security Department that doesn't have power to arrest or interrogate like the police. I have no idea. Don Lemon needs to be arrested. Agreed. Oh, man, that's pretty sad. That to me doesn't seem like something that someone just casually agrees with, but okay, cool. Thank you. We are not a democracy. Jesus would not stop cancer research. Yeah, that's true too. Who's to say Jesus would ever do? He is God. We are people. Yeah, but Jake Eat 1323. People all the time say what they think Jesus would do. Not only that, all the time they tell you for certainty what those justifications are of why God is some way, why Christianity is some way, why morality is some way, what is moral. And it's actually funny because perhaps the most not all, but some evangelicals don't go around telling other people what the world is like. They have their own belief system, and they're more than happy to, they themselves and through their church, introduce you to Jesus if they want. I'm an atheist, right? I'm a secular atheist. I like Eastern spirituality as well. But yeah, there's a ton of evangelicals who just believe in Jesus, and actually they will say things like Jesus is God, but perhaps it takes a little longer or conversation for them to tell you why. And so it's just ironic, right? People in the Christian faith used to use the term lukewarm for people who didn't really believe the Gospels or the Bible or the church. And it's come to be that Christianity has become political. It's become popular, And so look at Charlie Kirk. How is it that a Christian is they're demanding that you don't know who Martin Luther King Jr. is. They're demanding that you forget the name. They're demanding that you don't think this is important history. They're demanding you that this person wasn't in any way, cut from a slightly different cloth in the civil rights debate. They're demanding that you don't ask why that mattered at that time. And so Charlie Kirk, a Christian, says, well, we need a Bible revolution in the United States, and it's very clear Donald Trump is the one that's going to do this. And it doesn't make sense, because you might say, well, I agree with the second thing you said, but you didn't say anything. You basically said that I'm just going to keep telling you what to do. I'm going to keep telling you what to believe because I have your attention and I can keep it. Total fucking psychopath. Nut job, man. Jesus was a pussy. Yeah, so at least one person doesn't like Jesus. Yeah, I'm not a huge Jesus. I think I like exploring the beautiful. I'll tell you this. If you're respectful and you have really nice stories about things Jesus did, and you believe that we do those things in the world today, I'm usually a little more open to talking about just what the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, what sort of gospel life of Jesus writings are about or like, kind of how we got there, what it's about, how far back it goes, how far in the future. That's kind of my perspective on learning about Christianity still. I was a Christian until I was 16, 17. I wasn't a genius, but I was a decently I wasn't like a smart kid. I had a very common sense understanding of religion. But I had a strong common sense understanding of religion at that time. And so I wouldn't go as far as, I wouldn't say that Jesus is like he's a P word or a B word, or, he's kind of a C word or whatever. what I would tell you, or what I would say is, what I think what's most interesting to talk about is how the story of the Gospels can unite people. And it can do so many different ways. You don't have to be a person of faith to appreciate the values. And if you come to me saying that, I'm much more receptive. And if you come with ulterior motives, then I'm most likely gonna fuck your shit up, right? There's a 0% chance that you're gonna slip that shit by me. Guaranteed. TDS has nothing to do with Trump. TDS is all about Democrats thinking they're the smartest human beings that ever walked the face of the earth and therefore should rule over the whole country. Yeah. I just posted a video and the thumbnail says highly unintelligent. And it's actually about some of the things Donald Trump did. You can use the video to reference things you agree with Donald Trump on and things that he's just patently wrong about, facts about the world. And they're facts that are kind of hard to understand, not calculus, but they're facts that maybe a political scientist would suggest actually explains how a lot of other world leaders have conducted themselves and why Donald Trump is perplexing or confusing. It's not because he's mysterious, it's because he's wrong. It's because he's wrong and he's still motivated. So if you have a motivation and you're wrong, you have a very weird thing going out and going forward. Donald Trump was a bad president his first 4 years. He was incapable of leading or rallying people to do anything. And then it appears the way he conducts himself, it appears he spent the next 4 years working on marketing, not working on himself. And so that's a lazy man. That isn't a man that you would ever choose to have lead you. And to me, if we're affirming his identity as, the Don in chief or whatever, that is a man who should be ashamed of himself. If that's actually true, if you actually spent 4 years not readying yourself for the office of the president and asking for a second chance, seeing if that's the right moral choice, go fuck yourself. You're a president. You're the president, but you're also just a president. And I'll make sure you have nothing if you didn't earn this opportunity. And if you're doing the wrong things, if you're doing things for the wrong motivations and intentions, you'll leave that fucking office with less than you had when you got there. I don't give a shit what your bank account looks like. I'll take everything from you. I'll make sure you have nothing. You have no respect. I'll make sure you have only honesty. Fuck that guy. This piece of shit murderer. Fucking turncoat. Piece of shit. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Donald Trump can't stop people from telling the story of his presidency. What do you think? What do you think? Trump is a bad president and a horrible human? If he's dishonest, if he's a liar, if he's incompetent, if he's inept, that's it. He's a bad president, period. Your empty threats scare no one. It's not an empty threat. That's just saying that if Donald Trump goes through his presidency and makes mistake after mistake, if he takes innocent human lives, if he arbitrarily exercises military authority in countries around the world, that's not a threat. That's not a threat. That's saying that this fucking murderer turncoat should never be in office again. And there's not a single person of voting age who shouldn't know what Donald Trump's done. There's not a single person who's of voting age in the United States who should think they should look at you guys who voted for Trump with envy. That's baloney. That's nonsense. It's a shame. Go actually look at these Gen X fucking sellouts. Go look at these boomer sellouts. Go look at these Gen Z sellouts. Go look at these people who did the easy thing. These people didn't work a goddamn day in their life. These woke righties. Get out of here. I don't want to hear your political opinions. I want to hear your strongly held opinion. Because guess what I know it's about? It's about a Hot Pocket. It's about your Netflix subscription. You don't believe a goddamn thing, and you'll virtue signal because it's fun and popular, but I know who you are. I've spent enough time with you guys. You guys are liars. Make America great again. Not a chance. Not a chance. Make America great again is an excuse to act like a far radical leftist, and then when you get power, to exercise authority. That's nonsense. That's not what government is. That's not taking into account how government forms. I don't hate a single person in the world. I don't hate a single person. If you need to work something on your own, if you need to work through something on your own, if you need to go out and actually work a day in your life so you understand what I'm saying, if you can't understand what I'm saying because there's that much space between us, I can guarantee you I can work on some of that, but that's not all my problem. If you think it is, then, I mean, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Proud Boys? Shame, man. You see Donald Trump pardon these guys that go out and commit more crimes? No, he wants to label Democrats terrorists. No, this woke fucking hippie piece of shit, Donald Trump, this liar, that's bullshit. You guys see this guy? Do you know what he actually does? He cuddles up to racist white supremacists. He puts hate under his pillow when he sleeps, so he wakes up. First thing he does, eggs and bacon from Chef Rush. And then the next thing he does, he goes and hates some more. This hateful, lazy piece of shit. You know what? I feel bad because Donald Trump was born stupid and he was born lazy. And as much as it sucks that this guy thought that he could go to the yacht club and get ahead, he didn't accomplish a goddamn fucking thing a day in his life. So who do you think Donald Trump works for? He works for his own small, tiny dick. He doesn't work for anybody. Donald Trump works for Donald Trump. He doesn't work for you. He doesn't work for the American government. He gets a paycheck, but he hasn't accomplished a thing. That's not who works for the US government. You know what? If you think there's waste in our government, there's a handful of people who actually accomplish something, and it's because they care. It's pathetic. It's absolutely sad. You're babbling. You're just saying shit. Giving and contact to your stupid. That's not coherent. I know autocorrect on cell phones and stuff, so respect to you, but I don't think that you said something that I can engage with there. Hey, what's up, RVing with G? I don't think so. But that's cool. It's a fair question. He asked if I S the D. Jesus would not bulldoze the homeless while building a ballroom next door. Guys, we have the only true theologian, maybe the only true apologist on YouTube, blowing up, going viral in chat right now, everybody. And I just want you to know that they're talking about reality. They're talking about religious beliefs that people of faith and people not of faith can both believe. Donald Trump is Hitler. I didn't say that. I didn't say Donald Trump is Hitler. I do believe he has autocratic ideas and he has some fascist ideas and he gets confused. I know it's complicated. All presidents work for themselves. What are you talking about? I don't think that's based on any. Chris Molina, I think you're stuck a little in the middle of something. It's very sad. Again, I think you can work through it. He's busted his butt for America, and I'm seeing at the pumps on my check all of the above. Cool. Well, those are your values, right? And so, Jake Yeat, if you've exhausted your values, if that means you've examined Trump's policies, the sum of his decisions or the outcomes and how you make up your decisions, and you say, well, it's just these outcomes, it's just these decisions, you've exhausted your values. So I don't know why you're on a politics stream. I don't know why you're here. There's, we can talk about other stuff, but if we're on a politics stream and you're saying, well, after I say all of this stuff, I forgot everything you said. I could look it up and read back all the things you said. But if you get to the point where you say, well, I'm saving money, and taxes are lower, so I voted for Donald Trump. Well, that's fine. And it turns out it takes a lot more to run a country, right? And people are going to look at Argentina in a while and say, well, was this Javier Milei guy successful? What are the long-term effects? And there's always pros and cons. I'm glad you see those supply side economics coming through. I'm glad that you can drive all you want. I'm glad you can spend less on gas. And that gives you space, brother, to decide that you can be the person you want to be. We all have really hard choices. We all sometimes don't find the challenge that we seek to address right away. Sometimes we actually have to go seek to find. And for some people, it's seek so they can comprehend or understand. For some, it's seek so that they may destroy. And so if you exhausted your values because you save money and you have more money, I'm happy for you. But if we're making that decision for a whole of society, or I want to understand my role in that, and I say humbly, this is my role, and when it comes to other people, I'm going to be responsible and respectful. I'm going to give it space and time. I haven't exhausted my values. I don't see why it's necessarily good for the economy when maybe Trump does do things that lower gas prices, but at the same time, he seems to be picking winners. At the same time, it seems like he's bargaining with the present, with our future revenues, with our future trade agreements. He's also making the US less competitive. I don't think people all over the world set out prior to Donald Trump's presidency and said, we're going to treat the USA like the odd man out. These regional trade agreements, they want big partners to endorse and believe in what they're doing. And when you believe in people and you take that competition out, Jake, my opinion is that I believe that we're able to actually get more done. We're able to maybe remove some of the competition, some of the short-term decision making. And when it comes to other people, if I see an obvious competitive win, that's something I consider, even though it's not my values. And so I hope you have that same level of nuance. But if it's the case, like you say, because I'm on camera, you're just on text keyboard, I respect that and I see that. But if you say, I saved money, I don't care about 5-year-olds in ICE custody, I don't care about the Palestinian people, I don't care about people in Greenland, I don't care about people in Europe, I don't care about dead Venezuelans, I don't care about dead Yemenis, I don't care about maybe dead Colombians. I'll let the Colombian president care about that. I'll let our European allies care about the dead Yemenis. I don't care Donald Trump, as an act of rage, blew up 50 fucking, ISIS sites in Syria. That's psychotic. This is psychotic, You guys have this cartoonish view of these non-state actors, and yeah, ISIS is absolutely terrorists, political extremists. It's still psychotic to go kill 50 of them. You guys are unhinged. You guys have no self-control. You have no natural instinct and no competitive instinct. That's an embarrassment to my country, and so I'd appreciate it. Don't talk, but don't use your freedom of speech, right? Silence yourself. Truthfully, silence yourself. Don't have an opinion, because I think you guys are all probably, way too violent. You're probably in Trump's camp. So I don't actually even believe you, technically, Jake. I'm not going to dwell on this much longer, but, this message did say he busted his butt for America, and it got censored because it says the A word. It talks about a hind parts, but it says, I'm seeing at the pumps on my check, all the above. Man, I don't think you just voted for this guy for money. I think you tacitly, latently enjoy seeing violence on television. If I could be completely honest with you, I think you love it. I think you have a fetish for it. I think you get a kick out of it. I think you like that you're above it. I think you like seeing it and that you don't have to engage in it. You came in here, you didn't just talk about your paycheck when you wanted to debate me or argue us or tell us what to think or what to do. You said I shouldn't be listened to. I think that was your mommy and your daddy telling us what to think about you, Jake. That's my bad. Where's your country, my friend? I'm in the United States. I'm in the Southwest United States. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm in the Sonoran Desert. Very beautiful area. Very beautiful area. Thank you. Thank you for asking. Jesus would not pardon violence. Hell yeah, I would. That guy was a hippie. Jesus would not zip tie children with ice. Hey, Bulls on Parade. What's up, Papa? What's up, Pop Pop? Actually, the 5-year-old was in custody because Pop Pop abandoned him. I've seen those ICE guys, Bulls on Parade. I don't know if you're a dad or a mom or a parent, uncle, grandpa. These ICE guys, they shouldn't be close to bus stops. They shouldn't be close to schools. These guys are nutsos. These guys are nuts. I've seen these guys operate, and it's just the brass tacks of it. These guys are unhinged. You should see them. They act like they're controlled or they're making decisions in real time. These guys aren't trained to do what they're doing. These guys shouldn't be anywhere around your kids. That's the honest truth, not just in Minnesota, anywhere in the country, And so, if, AOC ran on abolishing ICE, she said, ICE is fascists. Abolish ICE. That's what AOC told us. And you don't have to, you can agree or not agree, do your own research, but I at least think that we really have to reel ICE in, and we should be able to talk about the private prisons that we send women and kids to. It is complete nonsense. We should talk about due process. ICE wouldn't be doing what they're doing right now if they had controls on the other end of it. And yeah, it's really just cruelty. It's cruelty. It's willful ignorance. And this is what I said about Renee Good getting shot. It's a crime to murder anyone, even if you're justified doing it. You get to go to court. You get an investigation, and a judge, if they decide to submit case files, a judge decides to see it, and then the jury decides what happens. That's how the court system works. It's always a murder. It's always a crime to murder someone. It doesn't matter if it's in your own home or what. Self-defense, someone else's defense. It's a crime to murder someone. God forgives you. God also has to forgive you because you're making excuses about putting a 5-year-old in custody. And now the 5-year-old's lawyer's having to go on television and give people updates about this 5-year-old's pending immigration case. Absolute bullshit. You don't even, these are like the crayon stories, right? These are like half-formed, half stories, guys. God's going to have to forgive the people who do this horrible stuff. God's also going to have to forgive you for lying about it. All for the almighty dollar, for a paycheck. All to make people feel good about themselves. Hey, that's not me on TV, Mom. That's not me pepper spraying a fucking 7-year-old in the face. I hope AOC is arse-slurred to run in America. She will never have a woman president. What? I don't know if that's true. Yeah, I'd support an AOC campaign personally. I believe in it. I think we need more centrist Democrats as well. I think we need more Democrats that are grounded in reality, that don't have revolutionary mindsets, but believe in seeing those revolutionary ideas in our discourse, in policy, and are also willing to switch sides. They're willing to punish their own. They're willing to punish other Democrats, people maybe more progressive or further on the left when if Republicans have good ideas. They haven't in a while, right? They all sold out for, God's going to have to forgive them for selling out for Make America Great Again. Basically, these guys work their entire lives to get into politics and then say, all that was for nothing. I'm going to let this Donald Trump guy redefine it for me. What an embarrassment. What spineless pussies. You guys are hacks. Absolute shills. Absolutely fucking embarrassments. I mean, you guys should all, if I was you guys, I would do so much insider trading. If I was MAGA, I would do insider trading. I'd invest in crypto. I'd move my fucking ass to the Bahamas because I'd be so goddamn fucking embarrassed to actually show my face after selling out like that. What a fucking shill. What a fucking joke. This is insane. Hey, what's up, Sneaky Turtle? Good to see you. Hope you're doing good. I appreciate the kind words. If I can do anything to lighten the mood, cool up a little bit, I'm happy to do so, baby. Let's go. Roll on code. LOL, leftists are degenerate trash. Left skirt. Blick. Hitter it. That. Good to see you, Roland. I don't know what all leftists are. You also got auto-moderated, I think. But I can see your message. And so, yeah, I don't know what degenerate trash is relating to a person, but thank you for your comment. Evil is the complete lack of compassion and empathy. MAGA is evil. Yeah, as much as evil or anything could exist, the world goons to you to poop, but that's what our parents and grandparents said too. Going to poop, yeah. Our grandparents went to space for the first time, right? They sent our grandparents, oh man, I love my grandma, I love my grandpa, I'll share this. My grandpa's a Purple Heart pilot. His dumbass got shot down and spent a couple weeks in the Indian Ocean. Fucking idiot, right? But nice guys. I loved eating spaghetti with my grandpa. I loved eating Fig Newtons, the old little fig crackers with my grandma. I felt like an adult when I would go do sleepovers at their house when I was a little baby. I was a little kid. I was a little baby for a long time. And our grandparents went to space. Our grandparents also watched us go to like Elon Musk space, where basically everything got worse, right? They watched us be successful, and they watched us not knowing where things came from. And hey, what's up, Tyron Papa? Good to see you. Hope you're well. I don't know why that word with a question mark Yeah, if you want to clarify that question for me, brother, I'd happy take a look, or maybe it's for someone else in chat. I can't actually say, and so appreciate you. Do you respect each religion for what they are? I try to. Yeah, I respect what I just sort of take a religion to be like or as, more so than like your individual beliefs. Just because it takes me a lot of time and effort to learn what someone's like and what they believe. I'm not good at that stuff, being honest. But yeah, if someone shares what they believe about their religion, maybe the most convincing evidence, the most important values or beliefs pertaining to that religion, and they do so respectfully, heck yeah, that's so super interesting. That's just super interesting. Because it's very rare, actually, if you're being a nice person in good faith, it's very rare that your evidences or logics, the arguments you look at actually preclude other arguments and stuff like that. Very rarely happens. Trump 20 to 28 years in jail. Yeah. Make America eat Hot Pockets again, right? The almighty dollar or the almighty Hot Pocket. We spent so many years being mean or disrespectful or not listening, not learning from one another, and everybody always had an excuse. Now I'm sick of it. I was arguing with a bunch of woke folks on my page too. And I myself am anti-racist. I myself would think of myself as supporting anti-fascism. I myself support LGBTQIA plus issues. I'm sure shit not woke. Haven't been woke a day in my fucking life. And so I see all these lazy people who couldn't open up a live journal page, a Zanga or whatever it's called. All these people who couldn't open up a blog. They couldn't start a Medium. They couldn't open up a Google Doc. They couldn't get a piece of paper and a pen. And they couldn't look up an article and read anything. They couldn't go out and think about it. They couldn't make sacrifices for their own beliefs. They couldn't go to work and say, I'm going to lace up today and put on my work polo shirt because I'm going to do it for someone else. I'm going to do it for an idea that's way bigger than me because I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of getting rich. I'm sick of whatever it is. Both sides, man. Make America great again is make America lazy again. Make America think about things in the simplest way possible. Under the guise that you can always do more. You can always say more, but shit, if it was ever right, no, it wasn't. Do you know why I know that? Because I haven't hearing in chat all these MAGA folks. No offense. No offense. You are woke, Ducks. Why? I'm not woke. I'm not woke. I'm not woke at all. If you guys want, you guys can go watch my most recent video. I hit on where is he at? My most recent video, I spent 20 minutes educating and talking and punching at this guy, Che Guevara. You guys know any wokies that don't want to live in a communist society? How many woke people do you know that don't like Che Guevara? How many woke people do you know that say, yeah, don't read the political theory of Marx, but do read the philosophy of Marx? Not that many. Where did I get that from? Did I ask ChatGPT how to make me a popular influencer? What do I do to become popular, guys? All right, it's not woke to state opinion, says hostile takeover of Earth. Yeah, thank you. I think that's defending me, so I appreciate that enormously and immensely. Appreciate it. Do take a second to like and subscribe. I love seeing you guys here. I love talking to everyone. I love that we can argue a little bit. Someone's message got auto-modded. And yeah, I don't think anybody's trying to rage bait anyone or something like that. We are all here to hopefully talk, learn politics. Again, this stream is titled, Do You Support Trump's Palestine Plan? And I'm trying to convince you a little bit that it's a poorly thought out plan. It looks like it was put together to destroy Palestine, to destroy Gaza, to destroy more chance of peace, to destroy talks of pan-Arabism, and basically to destroy self-determination. You take it out at the core. And so I believe Donald Trump is attacking the Palestinian people with this plan. And I believe that he believes he as president has the authority and the moral right and is the righteousness to hold humanitarian aid and security over the head of the people of Palestine and Gaza. And so I don't support him. But if you do want to support something, you guys can go to my page, send me a Streamlab tip, or better yet, if you go to libertywildlife.org, you can send a donation to one of the charities here in Arizona, Hands-On Animal Rehabilitation. Hands-On charity is so impactful because there's actually people getting like 80% of the money you donate to actually save an animal's life, to actually rehabilitate an animal, either re-release it or it's got a place to live in captivity for the rest of its life. So support Liberty Wildlife. It's hands-on. It's not esoteric. It's not lobbying. It's hands-on. Or send me a tip if you guys want. I need to buy a laptop. I'm broke as a joke, everybody. But we all are, aren't we? We are all broke. So if you guys want to buy me a laptop, I'm just kidding. Don't you wish the world worked like that? You could just be like, I need to buy a laptop, and I've thought about it now for like 6 weeks, and yeah, I don't need a laptop, but I pretty badly need one. I'll need one in the next couple months. Or, it's just, whatever. My goals are further out if I don't buy a laptop. I think a lot of people wish the world was like that. But there are problems that solves, right? Having affordability of computer hardware, of internet accessibility, utilities. There's a lot of people that go to other countries, send money back. That's called a remittance. And so that's very relevant to my own broke United States needs for a laptop. But yeah, can you imagine leaving your family, going to work someplace else? Maybe it seems like you landed on a gold mine, but you get there and just like everywhere else, you probably work hard. It's maybe a little lonely. Maybe you meet people that aren't quite like you, but they understand where you come from. And so I always have, I feel for people who go out and work for their family. I know that's sort of hopefully accepted. Hopefully also it's like, yeah, I also want to generalize and understand the political challenges that lead to that, and that what prevents us from creating more efficient solutions. I hope we can do that stuff. Hey, Chris. Yeah, I agree 100%. Reindeers are better than people. Sven, don't you think it's true? Yeah, people will beat you and curse you and cheat you. Every one of them's bad, except you. But people smell better than reindeers. Sven, don't you think I'm right? That's once again true for all except you. You got me. Let's call it a night. Good night. Don't let the frostbite bite. All right. If you need quick money, go donate plasma. Yeah. I got to become a semen demon because I got to go donate some blood and stuff, man. I got to go do all the stuff. Yeah. I donated blood in college. I highly recommend that. If there's any younger people here, I was lucky because I was raised a Roman Catholic, so I would go, and I'm not going to preach to you too much, but I would go when I was a kid, and in high school, I would go to the clothing bank, the food drive, and so at least being able to serve and try to, even just for a couple hours, work hard for someone else was a very good experience. It was also true that later on in college, I would donate blood. I did platelets a couple times. And so it was just a reminder that, like, yeah, this is actually not a big deal for me. And I can keep in mind that abstractly it helps someone else, So that's partially why I like Liberty Wildlife. It is hands-on direct. You can actually go down there if you're in Phoenix and see the good work they do. And in other terms, charity, even if it's sort of like piecemeal gleaning, it's not like the main impact someone may wish to have. Suck up your optimism, and sometimes just doing it to it is the best thing to do. So I've, to Virtue Signal, I've been a part of care.org. I found that opportunity very easily accessible, enlightening. They've got a good educational website and pretty well-respected charity, care.org. And I've been a Humane Society donor in the past. I've also donated to a couple of political PACs focused on the environment and animal stuff, I believe. I think I have, not for as long, not for as much, but I did what I did when I did it. So highly recommend it. Catholicism, I think any action taken out of whatever. Yeah. Thanks, Hostile. I appreciate that. Thank you for amplifying the message, not of Catholicism as much as the actual sort of charity, the Catholic charity, as well as secular, any charity in society that directly impacts someone who needs it. Whatever you need, not what you want, what you need, though. Yes, 110%. And yes, true compassionate charity workers know when you need something, right? They don't judge. They don't have a little matrix. They don't have an Excel spreadsheet. They're not keeping track. They're not accountants. They're there to serve. And so for people that come saying they need something, coming looking for help, they're there for them. So I love supporting those types of charities that don't judge, right? That's it. Measure impact. Protestants are fine, but I find their points sometimes separate me from the Holy Spirit. Cool. Yeah, whatever works. I believe the possible version of God. I'm not religious, but I believe the possible version of God is more about the Holy Spirit and this sort of mysticism. I believe that's the most possible or most likely version of God. A God that actually could live in a fundamental universe, maybe a universe that has cosmological arcs and stories. I don't believe that is deeply represented in the Bible, but I believe it is deeply represented in nature. And so that's why I believe that is the possible God. But I'm not a theologian. I'm certainly not an apologist, but I do like talking about this stuff. Things about capitalism while stealing other people's money. Hey, Raymond Triggers. Good to see you. That just kind of upsets me. To be honest, when you say something like that, I think what upsets me about it, Raymond, is that you're otherizing someone. If someone is actually a crackhead, would you say, well, you're like all of the people that I hate, or people I'm angry at, or that it's not my place to say whether you actually hate these people, but I do think that people deserve to know while you're voicing your opinion if you hate crackheads and you hate other people. But yeah, I am a capitalist, so I'm probably more ardently a capitalist than most people. Donald Trump picked winners. Donald Trump's a little softy. Donald Trump is a little weak boy. He's a little bitch boy who can't do capitalism on his own. He needed daddy's money first, and then after that, he needed his seat in Uncle Sam to do what he wanted to. This guy's such a bitch. He sold neckties. Can you imagine what someone's psychology is like? Honestly, if anyone here, any of you guys here, maybe a former military guy, I'm not former military, but maybe you'll enjoy this. Can you actually imagine in reality the psychology of a guy who is such a fucking bitch that he goes and he sells neckties? Can you imagine who that is? The same person that wants to run for president makes ties? Really? You make cosmetic devices for men? You tell people to spend their life making ties and then you're going to run for office? What a bitch. Donald Trump is such a spineless turncoat bitch. This guy doesn't do anything for me. This guy couldn't. I wouldn't let him. If Donald Trump knocked on my door tomorrow, he's got a caravan of 24 black SUVs, and behind that, he's got 24 more black SUVs, and he says, hey, this is me, and these are the people that are going to help you. Do you know what I'd tell him? I'd say, respectfully, Mr. President, you're a spineless turncoat bitch. Why don't you turn that caravan around and go ask your fucking private chef at the White House to make you some fucking eggs? You old fuck. You're not my fucking president, you fucking pussy. Fucking bitch. Fucking spineless hack. What did you actually do? You tell me what you actually did, Mr. President. There we go. Now we're getting into it. Now we're influencing. Let's go, baby. Let's do that shock jockey stuff, right? Bring it out. How do you guys know if I'm telling you the truth? If I actually believe this? Whatever. All right, guys. I'm going to call it a night. My name is Nathan. I go by Duck Online. And I love to banter. I love to talk. I love to tell the truth. And I love playing hardball. If I can be honest with you guys. To me, I don't think there's anything wrong using right speak and speaking truthfully. I recently posted a blog praising some of Donald Trump's decisions, trying to explain and talk around the values he's represented outside of the office of presidency and within the office of the presidency. And I made the case that outside of some of the decisions Trump makes, he can be contextualized as a highly moral, value-driven president, highly moral, value-driven person. I've also said some nice things about his sort of the core thrust of his involvement in Palestine and Gaza. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump has lied to people. And so it doesn't matter if you tell the truth, if you tell the one big lie, if you tell people you're a president of peace and that you truly have no other objectives, no ulterior motives, and you make people believe that you're competent and trustworthy, but then you never explain it and you do the opposite, it turns out that you're not actually fit for the office of the presidency and you shouldn't be trusted. So at the end of the day, while I don't think we need to create an all or nothing view against this MAGA president, I do think we can generally believe that good, well-intentioned MAGA voters, you don't decide policy. And we know that's true because not a single person in this chat brought a single thing to the table today. I hate to say it, but if you support Donald Trump, you did not tell me a single thing about Donald Trump's policies today. And that's been true this entire presidency. You do not decide policy. You decided based on your feelings you wanted to vote for Donald Trump. It becomes now apparently true. And so this is, to me, very embarrassing. It's endemic of what Trump wanted. He wanted you soft, he wanted you lazy, and he wanted you celebrating. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? He wanted you celebrating a murder, a death. He wanted you to forget that shooting Renee Good in the side of the head is a crime against man and a crime against God. And turns out there's some crimes against men that you don't go to jail for. We all remember the ones. We all remember the ones where there's justified uses of force, but sure shit, it's a crime. You get an investigation and a trial. And so when you get Donald Trump and JD Vance too afraid to actually say the truth that someone murdered Renee Good, shot her in the side of the head, shot her in the chest. Boy, whew, ain't that something? It's a tragedy, but it ain't that type of tragedy, they tell us. Well, I don't believe it. All for the almighty dollar, all for the almighty, whatever, the camera time, the reality television show, your ability to sell new cutlery ware or something like this. I don't care. I don't know. It's none of my business. But Mr. President, I know when you lied to me and you told the big lie, you told people you were going to be a president of peace. You're not a president of peace. You enjoy seeing people like soccer moms getting shot in the head. Mr. President, you love seeing 5-year-old kids get dragged away in black SUVs, and then you send out your ICE officials to lie about it. And we have to wait for their lawyers to come out when they finally find them in whatever dark hole prison system you locked a 5-year-old in. We have to wait for their lawyer to say, well, this guy's actually completely full of shit. It's not the case that they did not arrest this person or use them in an operation. Both those things are in fact true. And these are not isolated incidents. The reason this is so easy for me is because now we've been seeing this stuff very heavily for the last couple months. We saw it right away, and then once this ICE administration got rolling, boy, it really got going. Same with Trump's violent plans for the world. Venezuela's just the start. I'm led to believe that because this guy is a fucking liar. Not only that, he's so spineless that he will make the decision toward violence because it's easier for him. And so I don't trust him. Donald Trump is, to the confusion of everyone, a president and the president, and God bless you. Hey, what's up, MiG-96? Why would I be from Greenland? What do you mean? What are you trying to talk about? What do you know? No, I was closing out the stream, but if you guys want to like and subscribe, I will catch you guys. See you guys later. And yeah, my name's, again, Nathan. The channel's called Ducks Why. I go by Duck Online. I sometimes do debates. I do lives like this. I post videos. I post a bunch of shorts. Try to keep things brief, academic, informative, common sense, all kinds of stuff. So like, subscribe, share the content, folks. It's always great to see you. Always great to talk to you. And if I can, I will talk over it. I'll talk through it and hopefully get through to one person. Not like a dad, but kind of like a drunk uncle. Oh, yeah. No, I'm from the U.S. I'm not from Greenland. Yeah, I don't see Greenland. Like, I know sometimes we have to amplify the role of these areas, but it's complete nonsense, right? It's totally complete nonsense to say that, like, Russia and China and the United States are going to nuke each other if Greenland doesn't get settled. What does that actually mean? And why do you actually say that, right? Can you justify that belief in a specific security setting or in some longer term game theoretic view? I don't think so. I don't think so. And it turns out every 20 years we invent something that makes all of the competition and security of the past obsolete. So, it's not gaslighting. It's not deep state stuff to say, well, if you knew something in the year 2000, you don't know anything now. Do you know what I can tell you today? I can tell you, well, you don't know anything now. There's people that have seen things and know things that make it what you think you don't know. And so these are all reasons why Donald Trump is an unhinged president regarding Greenland. He's violent. And yeah, he picked a very ugly way to go about doing whatever it was he thought he was doing. There's nothing cute, nothing funny, nothing sad, nothing endearing. There's nothing of material value or monetary value. There's nothing of political value. There's just nothing. That's it. I'll see you guys later. Have a good night.